Hello humans, it's me Becca. This is the Overwhelm Part 3 video in my series of videos about Overwhelm. So the first two tips were kind of on the same line, like they sort of went together. I don't remember what tip 1 was right now. Second tip was have no shame. Basically, I think the first tip was, gosh, it doesn't matter. You can look back at the videos. Yay for working memory struggles. Anyway, not the point right now. Right now, the point is that I am currently working on trying to focus more on my self-care and my development and my boundaries and basically just focus on myself instead of trying to fix anything and everything else. And that's something I'm sort of processing through this YouTube channel and trying to share it with others as I go along. So today's tip for Overwhelm is sort of a combination of 3 and 4, and it is to change your mindset. So I'm working for myself on mindset, and I'm thinking about what I'm calling in my head the mindset mountain. And for some reason, I picture it as a bunch of cassette tapes, like in a pile. And I don't know why it's cassette tapes, like the old ones from like the 90s with the plastic cases and all of that stuff. But anyway, and in my head, it's like this giant pile of cassette tapes, and it's a mountain. And it seems really, really overwhelming to clean it up. But instead of looking at it as what I've heard called clutter in stasis, which means it's like a fixed piece of the landscape, I think it's really helpful to change that mindset to looking at it as what's called clutter in motion. So basically, for me, what that would mean is that every time I walk through the room, I realize that I have a giant pile of cassette tapes for whatever reason, and I work on cleaning them up. I just grab a couple of them and I don't know, put them in a box. I have something set up where I can categorize them alphabetically, whatever. And I just do 2 or 3 at a time, and slowly, eventually, that mountain starts to become a molehill again, if you will, and kind of shrink down. So that's something I'm working on for me, and something I want to share is to work on conquering the mindset mountain slowly instead of looking at it as an entire mountain. It's not a pile of it's not a mountain made of cassette tapes that are all melted together. I don't know why it's cassette tapes. Again, I think they're just a good size to represent the visual I have in my head. They're a couple of inches, like what, 3 inches long and 2 inches wide or something, and maybe like half an inch deep. If anyone doesn't know what those look like, old, I guess. But it's not like a static pile. It's not an actual mountain. It's something that comes apart. It's just a lot of little things kind of piled up together. And that's where I guess the cassette tapes work for me in my head as a size metaphor for some reason. So they are just a really large pile stuck together. And in my brain, I know I look at those as kind of one thing. And that's the thing I've been trying to work on, is changing that mindset from it's one huge thing to it's a lot of small things. So something I sort of had an epiphany recently that my entire life I'd been taught to get things done. So my wonderful mom is always feeling like she's behind on the kitchen, for example, and she needs to like wash all of the dishes, and everything's piled up, and it's just really bad, and it's really hard, and there's just a lot there, and it's really overwhelming, which is a mindset that I have ascribed to my whole life. And I'm working on, instead of thinking of things that way, thinking that I need to stop trying to get things done. Not stop doing things, just stop trying to get things done. So, and remembering that like this mess is not going to just disappear overnight, and that it's okay for me to work on a little bit of stuff for grad school, and to work on a little bit of other like professional type stuff, and then to work on a little bit of housekeeping and so forth. Basically just starting to kind of manage my life a little at a time. I was reading a book yesterday. I've read it before, but it's been a while. It's called Sidetracked Home Executives. And I swear it's just this like amazing success story of 2 sisters who overcame their undiagnosed ADHD and figured out a way that could work for them. That's not in the book at all. It's just some of the descriptions they have of how they function and live their lives, that they're just like the most ADHD things I've ever heard. So it's really great though for me. It's helped me with like a lot of mindset stuff, just like reading that book in the past and then kind of coming back to some of it. And one thing they talked about was they were talking to one of their organized friends, and she told them, they asked her like what she does and how she's organized and so forth. And she told them, when you make a cup of tea, do you use one tea bag for one cup? And they said yes, thinking she was going to give them some kind of exotic tea recipe. And then she said, then why is there a line of soggy tea bags on the counter? And they were kind of just like, And then she said, basically, throw the tea bags away when you make the tea. And they were both like super grateful to her utter bewilderment, because I think for them, they said that they had, their lives were full of that type of unconscious clutter. And just from that, they were already working on shifting how they did things. And that tip for them helped them get started on a sort of journey to go from basically not really managing much of anything in their lives to suddenly, like, not suddenly, over the course of a few years. That's what slowly, not all at once, but to go from where they're just really messy and not on top of anything and disorganized and frazzled and exhausted all the time and so forth, to the point where they wrote a book on how to get your life organized, essentially. It's called Sidetracked Home Executives, I think I mentioned. I'll post it in the description. But it's about how to get on top of basically like home management and household management. And it's a little dated. It's kind of the housewife concept, which for me doesn't super resonate, but at the same time, we all have households, we all have lives to manage, we all have bills to pay and houses to clean or places to clean, or, other responsibilities or what have you. We have ourselves to clean, if nothing else. So they started a system where they were able to go from basically having everything really chaotic to they turned it into a career for themselves to help other people get organized in the way that they had gotten themselves organized. And I think that's really powerful. And that's what I kind of wanted to share today, is that it's good to start sort of conquering that mindset mountain just a little at a time. And that's totally valid, and it's important too. I know for me, I've had a sort of pressing sense of urgency about just about everything I do. I feel like I have to get it all done, or I'm going to forget about it, or I'm going to not get back to it, or it's just not going to be done. That's not okay, or whatever. And it often kind of paralyzes me from really doing anything, which has been bad for a long time, and it's been a really rough habit that I've had. So I'm working right now on being more present and on changing my thinking to small things add up, baby steps are good, and just focusing on myself and working on my own mindset and my own little habits like that. And I'm realizing I kind of just skipped sort of to tip 4, and that I say sort of a lot, but that's cool. I'm working on it, and that is just fine. So tip 3 I had on my original Overwhelm video was about forming your habits based around identity versus based around goals. Kind of like my mom's and mine, we don't get the dishes done problem. That's like a goal, that like completing the dishes, getting them all clean, all put away, whatever that means for you. But really, that's not something that gets done and stays done. So changing that mindset, I think, is really helpful to, this is something I have to form a habit of spending a little time on every day, even if it's 10 minutes or 15 minutes or, whatever. This is something I need to spend some time on. So I guess I will make another Overwhelm video, and I'll just switch it up and call this one part 3, even though it goes with tip number 4. And the next one I will talk about working on identity-based habits instead of goal-based habits. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you like the content I'm putting out, please click that subscribe button and share with others. This channel is in existence with the goal to provide people with free mental health care tips and services. I have a lot of resources and ideas for different ways to do that. Right now, I'm kind of focusing on myself and my own journey, so I am sharing the things that I am finding useful in the moment. But yeah, please like, share, subscribe. Most YouTubers don't talk about this, I don't think, but subscriptions help YouTubers start to get paid. And I have a passion for providing services that the people who really need them don't have to pay for, because I don't think that anyone should have to pay to access help and support and mental health services. So subscribing really helps out with that, and I super appreciate it. If for any reason you don't want to subscribe, that's totally fine. But if you support or like the idea of having free mental health related content that is hopefully relatable and accessible to everyone, regardless of any barriers they might face, except unfortunately lack of internet access, then please consider subscribing. And that's pretty much it. Thanks again for watching. I am still a work in progress, as we all are, so my videos might be a little rough and not super edited, but again, work in progress. And thanks for watching. Have a great day.